All right, Matt, coming back with another SAFUU video here. So you can see SAFUU is 11 cents. SAFUU goes $119. Is SAFUU-GO done? And do you think Brian Legend is scamming? Do you think that he's just having trouble because it's a bear market? You can see right here, you got the SAFUU-GO BNB. It has $80,000 liquidity. So that's one thing I want to talk about. I'm going to be talking about a few different things. You just want to stay tuned until the end. We can cover everything. And there's a lot more here than what I'm going to be showing in the video. There's a lot of different things you can be looking up. I've already talked about Fertrova and the partnerships. You can look it up on the Wayback Machine. But here's something with Gripio or Gripio. And so this is an old article they had. Just a second. July 18th, 2022. Brian Legend, aka Brian Sellers, a notorious crypto scammer, currently he runs SAFUU, Sustainable Asset Fund for universal users. Before that, he ran Fertrova, Tags Exchange, and Clever DeFi, all of which were rug pull scams. And so I'm just going off what this article is saying. So what is SAFUU? Brian Legend's latest scam, 383,000% APY, which that didn't even last a year before SAFUU, that's the rebase stopped. So that didn't even last a year. And then the fire pit, which we're supposed to be going to the burn address. Well, so now when you go to Gripio, they have this article that says Brian Legend, Uxie Labs founder. And so they've, whether he contacted them or whatever, this is April 8th. So they changed up their story here because you can see that this was gripio.com/Brian-Legend. And so then you can see right here, it's the same URL. They changed their story. And so whether he paid them or whatever, but you can see that there's some stuff that's kind of, millionaires will be made by SAFUU-GO. Well, never know. Right now, it's not looking great. But so right here, when you say he's a man of modest origins, he revolutionized the world of cryptocurrency is a really bold statement. And so right here, you can see too, he says, where are we going right here? He sold stakes in Amazon and Tesla. He's also named one of the tech leaders of 2021. So when you go to this, it's just, if you can't see that this is just BS right now, Brian Legend is nowhere in the same level of Elon Musk. So whether he paid for this, Clever DeFi is not even around. So to me, when you look at that, and that's pretty crazy. And another thing I want to bring up is, so like this Boss Magazine, what type of person pays to have these articles written about them? You can see that when you go to Boss Magazine, this is just a little bit of digging. There basically is the perfect fit for content and marketing needs. So this isn't trending industry news. This is not really an editorial place. This is basically a place where you pay to have an article written about you. So what type of person pays to have an article written about themselves, talking about how great they are and how, they're revolutionizing everything. And so, to me, I see like Uxie Labs is a blockchain development firm. And so I've seen stuff like Uxie hasn't really done much so far. They've had a sacrifice, and that's just my opinion. But, thanks for the tip there. Appreciate your videos. I think, I appreciate you watching, Mike Brantley. And so I guess, that's what I'll just get back to the video here. Sorry about that. And so I think that, these bullshit articles, which they basically are, just someone paying to have an article written about them. So when you go back to the Gripio, and so Gripio, whatever, they thought that Brian Legend was a scammer, and then they changed their story. And then the tech leaders of 2021 is just like a ridiculous article. Clever DeFi is nothing. It just doesn't even exist anymore. And you could go look at that and come to your own conclusions of why, it didn't. But having Brian Legend in the same breath as Elon Musk is like completely ridiculous. Another thing now is if you look at the fire pit, obviously we know that Brian Legend spent months lying about the fire pit, and you can say, well, he didn't rug. And then here, this is back, and I think this is the March 30th. After further deliberation regarding the decision to use the accessible fire pit wallet to extract liquidity out of the SAFUU BNB liquidity pool, I feel that both immoral and responsible use of fire pit as means for liquidity usage, especially since it was created as a means to burn only. I humbly apologize for my behavior, even making this option, and I'm ashamed for announcing such. The accessible fire pit will not be used for such a liquidity extraction, will remain being manually sent to the 0x data address. Well, actually right here, then right here, the fire pit, you can see that it's been sending BNB to the SAFUU Insurance Fund recently. And then also the SAFUU Insurance Fund has sent some big chunks to this address right here. They sent some to a couple different addresses. And one of the addresses they've been sending to is this one right here, is the 2728, and it's had about $800,000 in the last month. Right here, you can see right here, Gate.io, 400 BNB, 1700 BNB, 300 BNB, 1300 BNB. So like right here, the 1700 BNB. And back then that might have been before BNB crashed. I'd have to look at it. I guess the BNB price 307. That's $427,000. So this money is going to Gate.io, and some people say it's for marketing, and some people say that it's for, fake it till you make it. So some people think that that it's for marketing, but why send it to Gate.io? And it's about $800,000 if you calculate it up. You got 381 BNB. Oh, that's 53 days ago. We're going to last month. So last month you have 1700 BNB, 1750, 1312 BNB, 300 BNB going to Gate.io. So it's about $800,000. And when you go and you look at the liquidity, there's not that much liquidity there. And if you go and look at the SAFUU-GO and you look up at the markets, which, this is fairly accurate, you can see that SAFUU-GO and Wrap BNB and SAFUU-GO and SAFUU are the top trading pairs. These other ones have basically like no liquidity. SDAO is $7,700. So there's $800,000 that left to go to Gate.io. And if anyone is spent any time in crypto, you're not going to want to keep your money on a centralized exchange. So you're just going to have your $800,000 there. And what marketing? I mean, I haven't seen too much marketing. Most of it's Brian tweeting. And that comes to another point. When the person, you sacrifice your money, and there's the Discord where he's saying that your money, you're not owed anything, and stop playing the victim. But asset diversification and capital preservation, I will leave this here. So I mean, when people have given money and they're trying to invest in your project, and you say stuff like that, it really sends the wrong message. And SAFUU-GO, I don't see any big marketing there. I mean, they are coming up with these images and stuff, but his face is on a lot of it. I've seen people say that he's not Vulcan, but he's talking about the RVOL token. That was a big mess where I'm going to take a shower and I think over the possibility of a BEP20 RVOL token, which pairs the ESCO into a new LP. The RVOL would be redeemable for 1-to-1 for, Vulcan coin mainnet, before once the Vulcan blockchain mainnet debuts. So it'd basically start vol trading ASAP before actual mainnet to allow free market to participate early and help out the SGO in the process. So to me, I see this as a cash grab. I mean, why come out with the RVOL token on Binance Smart Chain? Is that just a way to start generating some money, in my opinion? And so I think that a lot of people are turned off by that, and he's probably not going to go ahead and do that. I agree, Mike Brantley, from the fire pit. So we can go back here to the fire pit. Let's go back here to the boom boom. Let's see where we at. So I guess we'll go. Oh, the fire pit, I think, is right here. No, let's see. Go back to the fire pit. So you can see the fire pit. Okay, now we're in the fire pit. You can see right here the fire pit. It was somewhere, it was burning them, but now the fire pit is sending it to the SAFUU Insurance Fund. Then the SAFUU Insurance Fund is sending it to the 4728, or there's another address it can send it to, but eventually it makes it back over to the 4728 address, and then it's sending it to Gate.io. And why would you be sending it to gate.io when everything's on the Binance Smart Chain? You should be able to go onto PancakeSwap and get any tokens for liquidity. And it's not coming back into this address. So if you wanted to be transparent, if you were using it to gate.io to buy tokens, then you should be sending the tokens back to this wallet address to show the transparency. And so most people, it makes sense, is that they're probably cashing out, and that's $800,000 in the last month. And, some people have said this is the place he lives. I'm not sure if it is, but you can go right here and on this Evan Molloy real estate YouTube channel, and you can see the design right there on the wall in several bedrooms. I don't know if I don't know. It doesn't feel like it's painted. It feels like some kind of wall covering, whether it's fabric. I'm not exactly sure what that material is, but you can see that right here, it pretty much looks exactly like the type of background material on the walls as there is Brian's latest AMA. And you can see that this is a really fancy house, $3.5 million Australian or something. And so some people think that he never really had any business successes, but once SAFUU-GO and this house was just bought, you can see this guy was trying to sell it at the end of last year. It was just bought at the end of last year, and this looks like it could be his house. And okay, if he made his money legitimately, then he can do whatever he wants. If and you look, there's a history of misrepresenting the partnerships with, talking about these partnerships. It's just him making a small liquidity pool. And if you put $5,000 into Rich Quack, because if you can look, there's not that much liquidity in some of these pools. Like right here, that with the SGO BNB, there's only about $81,000. So there's not a ton of liquidity. So $800,000 is not going into that. And if you look at Fatrova, and I made a video about Fatrova and the partnerships there, talking about partnerships with all these big gyms that didn't exist. And then you stack that in with these bullshit articles, and you hate to say that, but I mean, these bullshit articles and Gripio changing their story now. And then even so, can you take Gripio serious when they're talking about this tech leaders of 2021? I mean, this article is so much bullshit. And I had a friend that grew up on a farm that said, anytime you can smell yourself, everyone else has been smelling you for 3 days. Well, I think a lot of people are smelling the bullshit here, because Brian Legend should not be in any article that's compared to Elon Musk as a tech leader. So he finds all these weird websites that are bullshit, and he pays them to write articles, and then it makes people feel like he's legitimate. And that's my problem, where he is trying to say these pairs are a partnership. No, he's trying to present it as a partnership, that like these other projects somehow are given legitimacy to SAFUU-GO. And if you look at the price, no one cares about SAFUU-GO. So I know that, kind of going on a rant here, but just kind of feels like with crypto, you can say that a project's going to fail, and you're probably going to be right, because most projects are going to fail. But when people are not being honest, and to me, the fire pit thing was a big deal. And then people like, he didn't rug. Well, he's also talking about how he's not really going to be using that. And then now he's going to use it for marketing. And now he's going to use it for this. He's changing his story all the time. And then just see, when you look at this RVOL token, maybe they never do the RVOL token, but he was floating the idea. Why? Because he knew that once he launched the RVOL token, he was going to make a shit ton of money off it. And so people said his net worth has just went up. Even in these bullshit articles that are getting written about him, his net worth has went from $2 to $26 million. And, a lot of people think about that on the backs of SAFU, and he's trying to, SAFU changed his SAFU, then SAFU went away, SAFU-X. And then you had SAFU-X morphed into Vulcan blockchain. And like, he's talking about how, if you just go on SAFUU-GO here real quick, let's see where we're at. SAFUU-GO, let's see, just a second here. Their ultra advanced AI, BEP20. I mean, there's just no ultra advanced AI. And there's videos, and you can see on Discord where he was talking about trying to just ride the AI wave, which has died down a little bit, because if you go and look at Singularity DAO, which actually has someone that's in, well, actually go here. And if you look at not Singularity DAO, but AGIX by Ben Gertzel, someone that's actually been in AI for decades, it's up a little bit now, but overall you can see from the top of the AI, bull run, it hit about 60 cents and now it's pulled back down to 22 cents. So you can see that it was in February. So when Brian, once AI was hot, Brian got the idea for SAFUU-GO and he wanted to capitalize on that. And he just slapped SAFUU-GO onto a project. Arbitrage too. When you look at arbitrage, you really need a lot of money to make money on arbitrage. So yeah, so Mike's just talking about that. What about when SAFUU-GO created a honeypot, and while the community was waiting for their SAFU refund, he dumped hundred thousands of SAFU on the community? You can't make this stuff up. So both times the launches, there was like a honeypot created, and you'd have to go back and look at that. But the first version, people couldn't sell, or one person could sell, and then someone sold it. The same thing happened before anyone else can sell. One person sold. So it seems like a pattern. I think that, and it's always blamed on FUD. All this past Fatrova, Clever DeFi Tags Exchange is always blamed on FUD. And when you look, there's all these, he's trying to perceive himself a certain way. That's why when you go back and look at some of his old AMAs, you go back there and there's those pictures of himself. That's the thing too, is just step back and ask yourself, what kind of person is working so hard to portray themselves? It's like when you grow up in a town. I don't know. Every town's got those guys in a town that are tough. The tough guys that can, no one wants to fight because they'll kick everyone's butt. Well, do those guys those guys don't go around town talking about how they're the tough guys? Everyone else is talking about how they're the tough guys. They tell everyone they're the tough guy by kicking their ass, not by having a bunch of pictures of themselves in the background. And I don't know, maybe it's way back in the, maybe, let's see. I can't, maybe this one. Okay, so he moved on to the green screen there, trying to find one of those ones. I can't find it right now, where he had four pictures of himself. Let's see if this is one. No, he kept going the green screen there. But you guys all saw him in the beginning, and he'd have all those pictures of himself. So to me, there's just all this stuff, and I only covered a little bit here. So kind of in conclusion here, talked about how there's all these BS articles, and even this guy that used to kind of call Brian Legend out, they changed their tune, and there's these BS articles, and you can see that money is going from the fire pit to the SAFU Insurance Fund to Gate.io, by $800,000 in the last month. You can look at the liquidity. There's the liquidity for all these different pools doesn't add up to $800,000. And as far as I can see, there's no marketing spent. It's just Brian Legend posting on Twitter. And even if he put something on a bus, that's not going to be that expensive. And he's living in a big, fat, fancy house that may or may not be paid with crypto from these recent projects. So you have to make those decisions yourself. Thanks for watching. And if, yeah, all fake magazines. So Brian, Mike Brantley's got it right. It's just, these are all fake bullshit magazines. And that's my biggest question is, why would you want to invest with someone that's having these fake bullshit magazine articles written about them? For me, I wouldn't. And so I think it's important because not everyone has the time to do all the research themselves, or maybe they're new to crypto. So they should have someone giving a point of view that makes them think. And you just look also, before I sign off, you had the SAFU, the Vulcan sacrifice. You had the sacrifice for Uxie. And then you can read and talk about how Uxie Labs is just this great thing. Well, Uxie Labs hasn't done anything so far. The only thing he's launched since the Uxie started was he had a sacrifice, and then he also had SAFUU-GO launch, which is kind of a disaster. Yep, he's got a lot of bills to pay. That house isn't cheap. So, well, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening to me ramble. Thanks, Mike Brantley, for the tip. Thank you very much. Have a good day. And yeah, just drop a comment if there's anything else I should be talking about. Have a good day.